Hello, Frank. How you doing?
Hey, fine, Jim. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing just a little bit okay.
Hey, since you've been doing all those lesson tapes that I've been doing here,
Yeah,
how come you don't?
got a bunch of your DVD, the lesson DVDs going, and a guitar DVD. Too.
Really?
Yeah.
How come you don't do one on the fiddle?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think anybody'd want to learn how to play fiddle.
Well, you've been picking with me since about 1976. That's been a year or two,
It's
ain't it?
been 1976.
And,
That's right.
and every time we do a show, what makes me mad at you, you steal the show with a fiddle.
Steal the
and-
girls is what I try to do.
Yeah, and a lot of them young kids come in there wants to play the fiddle.
Mm.
And I think you ought to get some lesson tapes, for some people, those young people that want to learn, or even old people.
Yeah?
Because, you know how to handle that thing. If I could do a fiddle like that, man, I'd trade my mandolin in.
Get a job with Louis Weekleg.
Yeah, right.
Well, I might. Maybe I could show him a little bit of...
How would you... does that play like a mandolin? Or does
Yeah,
it
that's
tune like
right.
a mandolin?
It's a G, D, A, E strings. I have half as many strings, so I have to work harder. It's a...
Oh, that's right. Or is it the other way around?
Yeah, I think it's the other way around.
How do you, when you tune them, do they note like a mandolin? If you hit a G or anything, is that like a mandolin?
Yeah,
too?
just like the men. Well, you only hit a couple at one time. You hit you can hit two at a time. Sometimes, like Kenny Baker, I used to, about Kenny. I used to go and study with Kenny, and he'd be able to hit three, but his bridge was a little bit flatter.
Oh, if it's flatter, you get more strings?
Yeah, I don't see any reason to hit all three strings, so I can.
I'd be lucky if I hit one.
Yeah.
Hey, and tell me something about your right hand when you're doing the bow, because I know, what you have to have a limber wrist with a pick. Do you have
Just
to
like
hold the
you,
bow?
it's actually quite a bit like you, and you let your hand rest down like that, and now bluegrass fiddlers will put their thumb underneath the frog. Classical or swing players will put their finger between the stick and the hair, see, like that. But
Which is the best way, for somebody just learning how to play?
well, I'd
And
say
be without
like
so
this,
hard.
like this right here.
Let's see, where you got your thumb on the
Underneath.
frog?
Yeah, see, we have the what you do is you put your hand right there. You let your thumb touch your finger,
There
right
you go,
like that, and
there.
that's where you put your stick.
Yeah.
And then you put your thumb underneath, see, and then you rotate this around so that your little finger,
Oh, touching
there.
the end.
yeah, right on the end, and you don't lock your finger up because you'll smack yourself in the face with a bow. I've done that a few times, and so you always leave your finger a little bent, and you put it on the tip like that.
What's that for control?
Yeah, the control the end, that end.
And how do you have to push down very hard on the fiddle when you?
You never pushed, and then you
Or
push
do you have to
this
hold
into
that
the.
real tight,
No, very light, real light.
just
and,
like you do a pick, I guess.
Yeah, it's quite a bit like playing the mandolin actually, and you don't. It's very light, and you never really push down. You just let your hand. What you do is you push into your frog
With the thumb.
with the thumb. So you're doing something like this, up like that,
Yeah.
kind of like like you're making a little face and it's talking, right?
Yeah,
Hello.
right. Like a rabbit.
Yeah, and so every time you play a note, to some degree or another, not always as pronounced as others, but like you see right there, you can see the stick bouncing in the hair coming up, and that's because I'm pushing my thumb.
Is that normal?
Yeah, into this finger here, never into that finger. This finger is like a shock absorber, and in this way it just dampens any bouncing. But you never apply pressure with it. You never do, because that would cause the bow to go left and right.
Where do you apply the pressure? Which
Just
finger?
into your
Right in there?
Yeah, between these two fingers right here.
Yeah.
See, right there.
And you'll know how hard to mash down with that distortion
Well,
and everything.
What I do is I like to have my bow loose, not real loose, but fairly loose, and I like to have it so that the limiting factor is you don't want to hit the stick when you're playing. So you have it up to.
Well, you mean the stick shouldn't hit the?
Yeah, you shouldn't go through and grind the hair between the stick and the strings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it break them, and so.
Break the strings.
Yeah, and it gets kind of brittly sounding like. So you. See, that's with my thumb right there.
And how come you tilt a bow where it just looked like it played
That's
half
right.
of the
You were
hair?
asking me about that last night. Now, see,
Yeah,
what you do
that
is
looks like you're not getting as much
Yeah.
hair on there. But you said you was.
Yeah, see, what you do is you have, if you think about it, you have a lot of, you can have just a little bit of hair, or if you press down a little harder, the hair folds over, and then you get all the hair. See? So you can get some degrees of variety here. Variety. You can just play. See, and it's. If you look there, it's all. And what you want to do is pluck. What you want to do is pluck the string. See, actually, this should be a little tighter. You want to pluck the string, like. See, and just. Because that opens the violin up. See.
Oh yeah, it's really solid. That way. Now, what if you didn't tilt the bow like you do? What would happen?
Well, then now your hand would be more flat.
Oh yeah.
And it would.
Then
See,
you wouldn't
this
have
way.
flexibility in your wrist, right?
Right, because you don't want. It's all about keeping it very minimum. Keeping all of your energy to a minimum, so that you can play.
Like when you do that shuffle, something like doom diddle doom diddle doom diddle.
Oh yeah.
How would you go about doing that?
Well, it's all on your wrist.
Yeah, that's like a mandolin pivot.
Yeah, and it's all. And see, you don't want to be moving this around. The less you can move, the faster you can be. And it's like the mandolin actually, just quite a bit like the mandolin. And so, and you never want to be tense, and so you always let your hand be down like this, so that everything's relaxed. So if you had to hold like a spoon in front of you, you couldn't hold your hand out very long.
Yeah.
And you have to hold a bow for 4 hours at a time. And so, this way you just let everything relax. Your whole body is really relaxed, and you even to the point where you don't stand on this foot. You put your weight on your left foot so that your right arm never gets stiff from the side of your body getting stiff.
Well, I guess that's why then when you start doing that double shuffle, sometimes your body goes one way and your fiddle goes the other, And I guess you have to get it coordinated with your right hand.
Yeah, you have to. You know what else? Here's what I like to tell people, because the what they call this right here, right? This black part right here. That's a fingerboard. Just like on yours. And the thing is, you don't put your finger on the strings. You put your finger on the fingerboard.
Oh,
yeah, and that's not. Yeah, you never put your finger. You try not to. It's the best tone. Sometimes you gotta do it, but if you don't have any space. But the best tone is when you put your finger on the other side of the string and just let if you think about where your finger comes down and touches your hand, you just let that part right there touch deaden the string. So you don't press the string down and bend the string.
Oh, I thought you did.
No, and then so what you do is it allows you also. So you just deaden it with your pad. So I'm putting it in between, see? But I'm not really, if you look in
You're
there.
not mashing it all the way to the
Yeah, I'm
board.
not mashing it. No. You can't. You got to do something here, but I'm playing the string below my finger, and it doesn't press it into the wood. It just mashes it, and really all you have to do is deaden it. And it gives you, when you do that, it gives you a nice pivot point for vibrato. See, if you were right on the string and you move your hand back and forth, you wouldn't get that much variation, but on the side of it, you get a lot of variation. See? So you get this nice vibrato. See?
I wonder how you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if I want to play a song in G that don't have frets on it like this, how would I
Right.
know where to start at?
Well, that goes. First of all, there's an open G string,
Yeah.
and D is in the scale. It's the fifth. And I always, when I first started playing, I started playing in 1970, and for the first 18 years, I spent 4 to 6 hours a day practicing, and I would do 30 minutes on, and I'd take a break for 15, and come back after that and do it again. But I started out with scales. It just started out so you sort of imprint in your mind where the notes were. Now that's an arpeggio. It's the notes of a chord. Right. So you can even tell when they're out of tune. See?
Yeah. So
It's
you
a
know
G
your
scale.
G because you started on your open G string, right?
Or you just know the scale too because you're used to playing that. And up.
Now, if you played a song like Arkansas Traveling, that's in D, how would you do that?
Well, it's in D. And always try to have your fingers loose. I crack my knuckles a lot just to keep them loose.
That won't make them bigger, will it? your
Shouldn't.
knuckles?
It shouldn't. The doctor, Dean Adele, says that it won't. So,
Oh, okay. You ain't gonna argue that, huh?
so I would say. So you're doing a lot of. See, the right hand is just.
Yeah, I was wondering how you do that.
And I see my thumb is always going in.
Yeah.
So you see the light. You see that bow?
Yeah.
That's from the tension. You're actually biting the strings. See, and that's what gives you a big tone. And you always want to stay to the melody, and you can always do any kind of.
How do you keep that shuffle going and the notes are played at the same time? That's what I always
Actually,
thought.
I don't really do a shuffle. A shuffle would be like.
That's what I mean, yeah. Oh, you don't do
I
that.
never do that. I just go. I play like you do. I just up and down.
Mm.
I make
Does it matter if you start with a down or up?
probably, but I never think about it. I try not to think about
But
those.
somebody just learning, would they start with a down or up?
Probably start with a down.
Yeah, that's what you did, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I imagine you can. Again. We don't play that one enough.
No, yeah, you started out with a hard
Yeah.
down.
Oh, up. We did up right here. Yeah, up and then a hard down. That's right.
Guys are, this is something else I was going to ask you when you do, like, let's see, what's it? You did something in A, we go,
Like a. You do a slide to an octave?
Yeah, right,
Or you know when Bill would show me how to play things like the Old Gray Mare, and he was real concerned with those drone notes. So that droning is
And I noticed when you hit your, instead of playing something empty on your A string, you got it there where it's real solid, right?
yeah.
Right. You do that on the E string too?
Yeah. It depends. I do it sometimes. I don't always do that because it would get, it would get new if I did that, right?
Yeah. A real fast note, you only do that when you're on a slow note, right?
Yeah, when I
We
want
get
a
a whole full
harmonic,
sound.
want to get a harmonic, like a. Something like that.
That sound like a real solid big fiddle when you hit both those strings together.
Yeah.
Got a real solid there.
And you're always adjusting your hand in the middle of playing, trying to make sure that you get the right. When I'm playing, I always go through a check to see if everything feels right. There's always the like memory of where things should be, where your bow should be and how everything should feel. And if something, something starts to slip a little, then you have to think about it and compensate. That's why I never smile. I'm always thinking about it.
Unless I crank you up.
Yeah. Sometimes I bring that in.
Once you play one like, Moss Creek.
Yeah. I think I just did.
That is a good tune. You wrote that. And what inspired you to write that anyway?
Well, I just wanted to write something that sounded like
you
Monroe
instead
and like
of-
me. Yeah, like bluegrass,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think some of it I heard you play something like that. I
That's
remember
still
that
the-
you played a great break on that first night. Then you played that.
I knew I had to because you were stealing the show.
You did a great slammer break up there at the Freight and Salvage. I think we have that on the website actually. But yeah. Of course, I like to play kind of fast.
Yeah, me neither.
You see, I'm just
No, I noticed that,
yeah, not much going on there.
It don't even look like you're holding on that bow at all. Looks like
Right,
just
it's got to be
tied in.
very loose. If you have any tension at all, you'll start getting tired, and it just got to be very loose. Of course, you don't want to drop it either.
Yeah.
That's in the Mixolydian. I was looking at Jim Lewin's guitars of the Frank Wakefield band video, and he said that was in the Mixolydian mode. Now, what do you know? I'm pretty darn smart to be able to put that in the mix. I didn't even know it. Boy, I'll tell you. A little slide. That's something you do all the time. You do that. Or in all those slides and like wheelhouse.
how do you do that real slow in case they will learn it?
Yeah.
Real slow here. Which note you hit there? Was that on the A side?
Yeah.
D, C, D.
That slide.
Yeah. How do you keep your fingers so accurate when you do that? Because if I was doing it without a fret, I'd probably hit it flat and sharp. So
Well, it's just like singing. It's just like singing. You just have to you hear the note before you play it, and then you play it. That's kind of.
Then you don't hit the sour note.
You know, and another thing is that when you play a fiddle, you never think. I know I had one time I got a fiddle lesson over the telephone, and I said, I can't play up I was getting trouble playing up here. It was like I've been playing 5 years or so, having trouble playing accurate up and it might have been Baker. He said, well, just imagine for a minute that the violin there is no up or down, and all you do is you're putting your finger down on a flat plane.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to hear the note first, and there is no up or down, and you just put that down when you hear the note. And so that helped a lot. I mean, just thinking that way, it just caused
Do
me
one,
to...
let's see.
You can do this. But if I hear the note first... See?
Oh, then you know exactly where to go.
You just got to hear it in your head first. Those first times I didn't hear it, but if I think it ahead of time, da da da, I missed it that time.
In other words, the fiddle almost is a part of your body.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly
You
right.
feel in your fingers what's in your head and your body.
Yeah.
It makes you do the right thing to it.
That's right. You do think and when you're playing, like I don't like a lot of people play with classical music. Classical people play with sheet music. And a lot of mandolin players play with tab, right? But I don't believe in playing with any music at all. I think you have to understand where all the notes are, and then know how to make chords. And once you understand that you play that, then it's a matter of just thinking something and playing what you feel. And of course, you have to stay close to the melody.
Yeah.
But in playing with a melody, you have a lot of variety. Like right there, just. Just all a million different ways to play.
As long as you know you're in the right key, in the same key that you're working out of.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, in the melody and how you imply the note. But I think a lot of you can't just recite stuff. You have to play it like you were talking, just like you were talking.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when I'm playing, I'll imagine things in nature. Things that are. I'll be playing like a doo 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 doo. I'll think like a wheel going around doo 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 doo, or maybe like that. That old Keystone Cops where they had that wheel that went back and forth.
Yeah.
And so that kind of thing. And I think when you take notes, and just play them, then it's kind of sterile. But if you integrate, somehow you overlay it on something natural, like an image in your head, or a feeling, And a lot of times, if I can play a note, I think we have, like in the back of our minds, we have experiences that are better or worse than we've ever felt. Just sort of the potential for like maybe if we were reincarnated or something. I don't know, but you can feel when you hit a note, it makes you feel a certain way.
Yeah, it does.
And if I can play a note, if I have the feeling inside me of a bluesy feeling, and I can play a note. And it makes me feel that way more, then the people in the audience will feel that way too. They actually respond. I find that to be true. They'll respond to that note. So in bluegrass, you're playing bluegrass, so you can't really, just lay out there with some real long notes, and it's like an opera or something. But you can certainly in a little passage, See that right there?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a real pitiful. That's a song. That song's.
You can really feel it, can't you?
I mean somebody is really sad there, and you can. And depending on if you feel sad, I don't feel particularly sad right now, but but when I do feel sad, I can really make that sound really cry. And so, and I think happy songs like. And I always try to add a little something like. Or. Yeah. Little skip there. You know, and it's the same notes, but it just adds a little texture to it. I mean, I think music should have a lot of depth to it, you know, a lot of texture. I mean, like when you're playing, right? You put all of these. You have the basic melody, then you have all of this other stuff going on, and you need a roadmap to kind of figure out.
Yeah,
definitely. The horsehair on this.
Yeah.
This is this is hair from Mongolia. It's Mongolian horsehair. It's a girl hair. Girl horse.
Really? How come that is?
Yeah, because
they're prettier than us.
Yeah, the girls they wee on their tails.
Really?
Yeah, the guys of course are putting in the other direction, right? So, but the girls they do that, and so it makes one half. Now they take the hair and they mix it up, you know, so it isn't like they leave it the way it is on the horse.
Yeah.
But it makes part of the hair be more coarse and have more bite.
And that's what really does it.
Yeah, yeah, it does it a lot, and that's what I use. I use something called blue string hair, and it's and that's what happens. Is it takes and you have a lot more bite. It's in fact too much at first.
Really?
You have to break a bow hair in, and I don't change my hair very often. I change it maybe once every couple, 3-4 months, or maybe sometimes every year. But
they will last a year though, right?
It depends, you know, if you're playing in a bar, and if you don't have your technique down, then it will last maybe about a month. But if you have nice technique and you don't really put that much energy into the bow, because you're using it only up here once in a while, see, instead of, you know, and so it's when you're playing and you can't hear yourself that you wind up overplaying, and that's so that's what I use. I like that hair. It really makes a big difference. And I use Tomastic strings. That's the best.
That's not nylon?
No, they're steel. And they're spiral core.
They're not catgut either, right?
No. And I can't play gut strings. They're too soft. It's hard to note them. Seems like when you're halfway through playing them, they get a little longer and they start going flat. Or, you know, for me, you know, classical people do fine, but these are super sensitive, I think, or spiral core, I think they're called. But they're Tomastics. They're called Set 15. Baker uses them. You know, he's been.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah, he uses them, even though he advertises other ones, right? He uses these, and I like them a lot. And this is a Tomastic tailpiece, and I think it's really important to get the one that looks like this, that has this much room between the bridge. Because I've seen some that were shorter and longer, and it makes a big difference that you have just about this. I mean, really radically shorter or radically longer. So it's it's important to have this set up just like this.
Yeah, and when you see beginners, you know, just learning, you'll always see only one of them on there.
Oh
the
yeah,
best of them.
Because this tailpiece has, well, they have that little add-in one on the wooden. See, because that's a classical tailpiece for gut. The other one, this is not. This is a steel tailpiece.
So you can adjust all the strings without going all the way down there.
And it's brass, so it never gets really hard, you know, in strips. The brass is always soft.
It don't rust up. Huh?
Doesn't rust off. It's always soft. And I drop a little WD-40 in these, like when I change the strings, clean them up, wipe them off with alcohol, and then put so that just the threads are wet. You know, I don't have any on here, on the body of it. And then I change the strings maybe. Now strings, back when we were playing, remember in Paul's Saloon once in a while, you couldn't hear anything in there.
Yeah.
And that was in the 70s. I'd change strings every 10 days.
Over there?
Yeah. And those were like they were $35 a set.
Shoot, that's more than you made.
You know, so now though, with the fact that I have the technique perfected or close to, you know, I have it maybe not perfected, but I know it. I'm a lot easier, and I can make a set of strings last a year.
Oh.
You know, unless I'm gonna do something I never get in jams out in the fields or anything. You know, I may play with like a musician or two, like Jeff or somebody, and you, but it's never like 17 guitars, and
Yeah, boy.
because then you'll wind up overplaying and you wear out everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. And then when you have, when these slip, once in a while the pegs slip.
Yeah, what do you do to test?
Well, you take them out, take a little bit of soap, and you wipe the soap dry. It's bar soap, and you get it, and then you just work it. It gets it smooth. Then you put chalk, a little bit of chalk. So you mixture of soap and chalk, and then it makes it a lubricant, but it sticks. That's real good because you don't want to be pressing these in because it'll crack.
Yeah.
It'll crack them.
Did you ever use rosin to do that with?
No, not rosin, chalk.
Just chalk?
Yeah, chalk right up, and you just work it. Just work it. May take a half an hour per peg. You just go back and forth between soap, and then you add chalk, and then a little soap and a little chalk, and pretty soon you'll get the feeling you want. And that's and then this here's the other thing. This is I believe this is a Guarneris style tailpiece. But what's important, see, I play with this against my body because the violin's made to be against your body. And if you have it against your body, then it mutes the high end. It makes it a richer sounding instrument. And so the fact that this tailpiece here is lifted so far off the body of this chin rest, off the body of the violin, takes up space here, and you don't have to worry about dropping the violin, and you don't have to use one of those spring things. I don't really like those because they make your violin sound too brittle. But see, you should be able to just hold. That'll ring 4 times.
That might be David.
Why don't you give me that phone? Oh, it's right over there, on the right.
If it's good, I'll talk to him.
Okay. Jamas, hey. I'm in the middle of filming the lesson. I'm actually on camera right now. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so what was I talking about? Oh yeah. Right, and so on this chin rest, the fact that it's high off the neck, off the body, means that it's wider, and it's kind of the distance between your neck and your shoulder. See, and you don't ever want to have you don't really want to be applying pressure anywhere, because it'll give you a sore neck and a headache, and so you want this. It has a little cup in it, so you pretty much, it floats. It just floats, and between here and in here, the violin, you don't really hang on with anything,
Does it take a long time to get used to doing that?
If you have one of these chin rests, it doesn't, but it's a special chin rest. Yeah, it's a special chin rest. It's a classical chin rest, but it's a special kind, where it's you can see right there. It's off the fingerboard. Off the body. See? Yeah. And so that's. So it hooks under your chin. You never have to worry about. You don't even have to hold a hand up there. Sometimes you get tired of holding. You just leave it up there.
What I did one time when I was learning the fiddle, I took and these kept slipping. Yeah. And somebody said put rosin on. I put rosin on, and you know what happened?
They stuck.
Yeah, they stuck. And I broke one of them and they wasn't pushed in that way hard. I broke one of them trying to loosen it.
Well, this is a violin was made in 1690, and you can see that if you look closely, I don't think they'll see it on the camera, but if you look closely, there's been inserts put in here, and the little dowels, and then they re-drilled it out. So somebody wore this out several times, and then you can see they also rebuilt the inside of the box. Yeah. So the inside of the box has been reinforced. So that instruments are like a piece of. It's like your epoxy thing that you did here. They're a piece of work in action, and they're in progress, work in progress. Yeah. And I really like the fact that it doesn't have a very thick varnish on it, like your mandolins. Yeah. Doesn't have a thick varnish, and the sound really projects. And on the strings here, there's I use drum head, from a drum, actually a banjo or a drum, and you take the you just cut out little loops. You take and you have to conform. You have to make your own bridge. You carve your own bridge
when you do that.
like a saddle, and then you use super glue to hold it down.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and so that makes it a little bit brittle, and that's good because it keeps the string. You can make what this allows you to do is to cut the bridge so thin. Normally the string would go through it.
Yeah, right.
But this way the string doesn't go through it. The saddle keeps it from digging in, and you can still have a real thin bridge.
Did anybody else know about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I
So
think maybe
thin bridge is what really makes them talk to you.
it is. Yeah. What is that? What you thought of when you were?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And so the thin bridge, because otherwise you have to have so much meat on the wood that it would keep the string from cutting it. But you see, you don't have to. If you
That's
have
why this epoxy and fiberglass, see it never. It's always the same. That don't go way down in there. Don't have to file it down. That's about the same with that there. Then.
Do they have to file them down on wooden ones or?
Yeah, on the wooden, you have to do that. Ever took a couple of months.
That's your own custom bridge there, huh?
Yeah, or they go down Sephora. If that was wood there, it would always, time I put it on, it'd be all the way through by now. And that's the only trouble with wooden bridges. Mine never does that, and that probably won't either.
No, this has been on there for a long time. I think I made this bridge in 1980 or so.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's about 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah, you're ahead of me. I made this about 1967.
Yeah, you're right. I am a
That's
little
about a
bit.
year old.
Yeah, and I didn't have to make this. I just sanded it down.
But you had to put stuff on it.
Yeah, and then seat the face, this to the face.
Yeah.
And then moving it back and forth with a piece of sandpaper in between.
So that'll make a cheap mandolin or fiddle sound extra good, won't it?
Yeah,
That's what I heard now.
Yeah, and not that this is a cheap mandolin or fiddle. And I believe the bow is real important. The bow is real important to getting a good tone. And
That's the same way with the mandolin. The pick is as important as anything on it.
yeah.
That's the same with the bow, right?
Yeah, the bow, the weight, the distribution, and the feel, and the response, because there's a response there.
Yeah.
A bow is like a good woman. She's going to be maybe a little bit difficult, but won't give up on you. When the times get hard.
Yeah, right. That's what counts. Eh?
Yeah, and makes you strive for perfection.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
Those are brushes.
That's what I like.
Yeah.
They're pretty notes like that. I can see about the strokes you're hitting now, because you do start most of the stuff with down
Do
stroke.
I?
Because it's more solid.
Yeah. I think you're right. But I think it's important not to think about it.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Because if you just think about this stuff all the time, then you're not going to be able to think about the music.
Right, you have to think about just so
like
you know
riding-
about it.
It's like riding a bike,
Yeah.
If you ride a bike and you have to think, well, I don't want to fall over, then you're going to fall over. Yeah, so it's... And so that's kind of it. I never wash the surface with anything like alcohol or polish because I think it'll take the finish off.
Yeah.
It's a very old violin, a very thin finish. I do dust off what I do when I first put a new set of strings on, because I think they chatter. I think the windings chatter. So what I do is I play it and then wipe it down, the strings down with alcohol. Not removing all the rosin, but just sort of softening it and let it go in between the windings.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and then play it some more. There's some tough stuff like that.
Is that why you don't get? No, I noticed you don't squeak them. Does that keep them squeaking?
Yeah, I think it does. And well, what keeps them from squeaking is your right hand here, that balance and all that. some exercises like this. I used to. But bounce.
Now, which string have you done that on?
I'm just
Do it
bouncing.
real slow. Let me see how you do it.
But it's a right
Not
hand.
just up and down.
Yeah, but
And
it's
you're not dragging.
right
Just hold it steady.
bounce.
Yeah. Now do that again. That was in G. Now do it real slow. Now do it real slow. Let me see which finger you start with.
See, there's a pattern. You know, young people who are just starting out can see that there's a first string, and then your two middle your fingers are close together. This is in G, and then that's the standard.
Then do you hit any open strings when you're doing that?
Well, when I do the exercise, I do closed strings on the way up and open on the way back.
That boy sounds nice. Right now.
But this, for the right hand, you kind of get bounce. And you're always practicing to get that little thing. You're not moving this finger, you're moving this one in and out like that. And that's what that's about, keeping your little finger trained and balanced. And your hand, so your hand, the way it lays over here, is very fluid, but it's different if you were playing classical style. Your hand would be very flat. See, and then your bones are square bones in there, and so they wind up, you know, you can't really move them around too much. But this way, when you lay it down like this, you can do a lot of movement. One of the exercises that we used to do is to take and hold a violin bow against the wall so you don't drop it, and then just hold your wrist from moving, and just see how far you can move using your fingers and your wrist, the bow back and forth.
That's where I used to do on the mandolin.
Did you really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'd go sit along in the car and do this
Yeah.
when I was on the right-hand side. And that actually helps a lot.
Oh, yeah, yeah, because, you know, you wind up cracking all your joints and stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't recommend that you do this because it might hurt you, but that's what I do. And then you do it once in a while. See, and then you get that. And then just to gain control of the bow. And see that bouncing?
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like bluegrass, but it'll come in handy when you're playing.
I heard Kenny Cook do that, and Kenny Baker too.
Yeah. Like if we were to do when we get to the last part, right there. Because the fun part of that is the way the delay times is it's not straight. It's what did it be for? What did it be for?
Now what if I just picked up a fiddle, was wanting to learn to play, and I was watching this? What would be the first thing I'd do?
Well, I think you want to start with just being able to play the open strings. Yeah,
I'll just start with a bow like that.
Yeah, always you figure out how to hold your bow, and open strings.
Now I won't need a book to look at to do that, will I?
I don't think you should. No, I think you just watch me and watch what like watch the little video here, and then watch what you do. You see, when you try to play it, be able to sing do re mi fa sol la ti do in your head, and in the car sing it. Just sing it so you know intervals. You know da 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 da.
Although you're not doing it where you can hear it, but you're doing it in your mind.
Yeah.
To correspond with that.
Well, sure, because when you think about when you sing it, your brain's doing it, and your brain is telling your vocal cords to do something. And so instead of your vocal cords, you're doing your fingers instead.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So,
Then if I didn't do it that way, then I'd be depending on notes on paper, right?
yeah, you want to be able to. You want to be able to just play. You don't want to play from notes. You just want to play your feeling.
And use my own mind,
Yeah,
right?
and
Instead
work
of paper.
your own mind and your own heart. You know, it's all about your feelings as a human. You know, who those kind of you know. Sometimes I play a song and I think about maybe some woman that trashed me, and you know, some songs I play, it's actually the feelings in the notes are, you know, it's some woman that maybe just trashed me and then turned around and laughed at me in front of my friends, and you know what I mean. You can really play bluesy stuff when you think that,
I bet.
Yeah. So it's all about those feelings, and then happy feelings, But mostly, if you just think about something that happened to you, and then or just the melody, it doesn't even have to be, an event. You can just sort of have feelings about a song, and you can just put a feeling in a song. Like, for example, that's a train, right?
Yeah.
So
That's a happy feeling.
Yeah, it's a happy. Yeah, it's tough. It's like a train, And then like in the second one. Now when I do that, it's like somebody's screaming. I always think it's like somebody's screaming as they're being pushed off a building. Yeah, because it's like that. It's not necessarily what happens when they hit the ground. It's just the feeling that.
Okay, now after I've got my bow, I'm seeing and I've got my bow where I can halfway handle it. And what do you do with notes? How do you just one at a time on the string?
Yeah, I do one at a time for melody line, and for scales. Forever, I did one note scale.
Scales is important.
Yeah, because you're going to wind up playing one of those notes in
Regardless.
a melody. Yeah. That's. And there's a double stop. There's chords. There's a double stop there. See?
Yeah.
And those are just a matter of putting together any two notes in the arpeggio.
I'm going to ask you a tough question now. It's going to be hard to answer. I don't know how you're going to answer it. Now, I've been playing about 2 days now. I've just got so I can hit my strings with a little authority. Now, how long will it take me where I can do what you're doing?
Well,
A week or a month or a year, or depend on you?
Well, here's the thing. When you play a fiddle, when I picked up the fiddle, I wanted something that would give me a challenge for the rest of my life. And but I would have rewards all the way along the way. So I figured, now, when I picked up the violin, I played in the club after 6 months. But I don't know what the people thought, but I was in there having a good time. And I was playing and learning.
You was actually able to play some of
Yeah,
them
after 6 months, yeah. And but what I figured was in 20 years I would be happy to at least be able to listen to myself,
Now you play more like you do now than you
than I
did
did a
then.
while ago. Yeah. But I had a great time all the way along, and I had, I made a lot of people happy, and I had a good time. I have recordings. I made myself happy, and when sometimes you make girls happy, that makes you happy too.
Ain't that true? Yeah, but then you'd probably go try to jam with people, get your enemies together
You
with
could. I really believe in getting instead of a big jam, but getting 3 or 4 people and just work in a small group. Always start a group and get into a cafe or somewhere where you can play on a regular basis, and that's the ticket to learn how to play. If you can get into a coffee house or something like that and play one night a week, then that'll be all the reason in the world to get better. And you'll have people that'll come to see, and you'll be afraid to make mistakes, and then you'll also have a reason to put together a set list, and work out instrumentals and improve and get new instrumentals. But having a place to play is really, I think when you've been playing for 3 days, you ought to go out and figure out a place to, you know, you're on the street corner. You know?
That's what I say about the mandolin too.
Yeah, just get out there and do it, you know, because there's nothing like pressure to make you better, you know.
Boy, that's true. Yeah.
I think we're running out of tape here, but I think that's the. Thank you for.
Well, thank me too, Jim.
It's been nice playing with you all these years. I hope we keep doing it.
Hello.
Hello.
Boy, I didn't expect the whole tape, but I'm glad you got it done.
Yeah, that is
We
cool.
can take some parts out of that. Add